श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। क्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभः निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्ये सर्वदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विशेषभवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं विप्रपातमं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। वार्ताय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणे स्वयं व्यासेन कृतां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीं अम्ब त्वामनसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते विभेद्वेषिणी। नारायणपरो व्यक्तादण्डमव्यक्तसम्भवं मण्डस्यान्तस्तु मे लोकः सप्तद्वीपा च मेदिनी। अवतीर्णश्च कालट्याकेतारेन्तरहितश्च चिदस्फीटमधिष्ठादा गुरो गुरुः शङ्कारूपेण मच्चिन्तम् अङ्गीकृतमबोध्य किङ्क्रियः सदा माया शङ्कराचार्यमाश्रये. So previously we were just concluding the Samkhya Yoga, and we will continue with that conclusion today. Hopefully we will conclude. So again, if we just quickly recapping, so we looked at in this Samkhya Yoga all the different concepts, right? So first starting with Bhagavan condemning Arjuna weakness. So he says Kudasva Kashmala idam Mishame Samavastidam. So why this Kashmala? Anaryam, Aswargam, Akirtim, and so on. He explains those things. And then Kshudram, Hridayadorpidam, Tekto, Tishta Parantapa. So he says that this weakness in your heart, remove all those. He condemns that state of Arjuna who was in that despondency. We looked at in the previous Adhyaya, Arjuna Vishada Yoga in the previous chapter we looked at, right? So, and then Arjuna seeks Bhagavan's instructions, right? So he says, Yatreya san nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyastehim shadivam tvam prapannam. Shadivam tvam prapannam. So he says that I am your shishya. So tell me what is good, what I should do, right? So I am confused. Tell me all those things. What should we do? So the reason here, the importance here, I think said previously as well, the instruction from Guru. So Arjuna is not an ordinary person, right? So he had heard all these things from many, many rishis and many other people, and he had all the other skills and everything that's needed to live a normal life. But here he is asking for that Paramasukha, the ultimate happiness, bliss. So that's why he's asking. And so what Shastras again say is, the one who can give instruction in this Atma Jnana, this final realization, right, is the one who is called as Guru. So not everybody is known as Guru, because if you, for example, if you look at Sri Shankaracharya's Prashnottara Malika, there, who is Guru? The question, who is Guru, Co-Guru? The answer is the one who has realized the truth. The truth is this Tattvajnana. So the one who has this Tattvajnana, realized that truth, and Paramatma Tattvajnana, who has that, and the one, and also that person who has a good of the disciple, his Shishyas, always in his heart. So Guru, somebody to be called as Guru, that person need to have these two things. One is he is realized in Tattvajnana. So he is that, he can give you that instruction, and that person looks after the best of his Shishyas, his disciple. So that's always in that Guru's heart. So that's the importance. So those two things are important. And again, we come across many, many times saying that Guru is Paramatma himself, and he is the one who advises Brahma Vidya. He is the one who advises this Tattvajnana, gives that Tattvajnana. And nobody able to repay that debt that due to that given, whatever that's given by that Guru, that debt cannot be cleared. So that's what Shastras say. And this again, without Guru's blessings and teachings, it is impossible to come to that Tattvajnana. So that's why it is important to have a guru to realize that Tattvajnana, that Brahmavidya, attain that Brahmavidya. It is very important. And again, in Sri Shankaracharya's Guru Ashtakam, for example, we look at the importance of Guru. Shariram, Surupam, Tata va Kalatram, Yashascharu Chitram, Dhanam Deru Meratulyam, Manaschena Lagnam, Guru Ragri Padme, Tatakim, 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 Tatakim. So one could have a beautiful body, attractive spouse, great fame, enormous wealth, but all this cannot at all be of any use if the mind is not fixed on the Guru's lotus feet. Tatakim, 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 Tatakim. So all this for what use? So that's what Shankaracharya says. Similarly, there are beautiful shlokas, so 8 shlokas like this, which explains, for example, a person who may have many things like wife, children, grandchildren, relation, wealth, prosperity, but one cannot escape from the fate, whatever that fate is there, and so on. Life can serve no purpose if the mind does not remain devoted to Guru's feet. And again, in the 3rd shloka, he explains one may master the Vedas and know all the sciences and everything, but without Guru's blessings, he cannot attain anything. He cannot attain moksha. So like that Guru Ashtaka beautifully explains Guru's importance. Okay. So here as well, we look at, before we start anything here in this Bhagavad Gita lessons, what it teaches is through Arjuna, it says that Guru Shadimam Prapannam, Shadimam Tvam Prapannam. So Shishyasteham Shadimam Prapannam. So I am your disciple, going and surrendering that. So again, in Upanishads as well, we see that this repeatedly in Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka, whichever Upanishad you take, wherever the Shishya goes to Guru, he goes saying that I have come with Samit Pani. So with Samit, I'm coming to you. Okay, that means I'm coming here to, Samit is representing that I am just a dry wood stake. Okay, but you are the one, the knowledge that burns and that makes me better. Okay, so you are the one that giving me that knowledge. So that's how it is in the Upanishads as well. So everywhere. So Guru is important. So for Brahmavidya, from attaining this Brahmajnana and realization, Guru is important, and not every teacher is a Guru. That's important as well. And it is very clear that one should select with careful thought and thought process that Guru one need to have. So this is important as well. So again, Guru, there are characteristics. Selecting Guru is Shishya's prerogative. Okay, but again, that selection one has to think carefully. Not every person who teaches is a Guru. Guru is the one who has that, who can give that Atmajnana and take towards that realization and give that knowledge, and he always has the welfare of that child, that Shishya, in his heart. Okay, whatever he does, he has that welfare in his heart. So that's important. So then Arjuna seeks that instruction, and Bhagavan starts again explaining about Atma, right? Sankhya, we looked at from its 11th shloka to 30th, we looked at Atmavastu. Again, it is very difficult for us, generally, it's very difficult to understand this concept of Atma, which is not, we cannot describe it, right? So when you have to describe something which is indescribable, it is very difficult, right? So Atma again cannot be realized by looking outwards, but one has to look inwards. But our mind normally looks outwards. So our buddhi looks outwards. That's why it is very difficult. It looks at external objects, but not inwards. So But one way to realize, for example, is one way to understand this concept is, for example, is when we say, for example, I am this, I am that, I did this, I'm doing that. The question is, who is that I we are talking about? Okay, whether that I are we referring to body, or is it referring to something else that's inside me? Okay, that we are saying. For example, if it is body, then when we say my back hurts or my leg hurts or my head, I all these kind of things. When we say those things, what is that? So when there is two separation, right? So I'm like, for example, this is my pen. When it is my pen is different, I am different, right? It's two different things. Similarly, when I say my back hurts, it is my back, so that's different to what I'm saying. Okay, so two different things. So who is that? So this kind of separation, that I-ness, okay, again, I-ness normally is considered as ahankara, big pride, which is different, okay, but here, that thing, that chaitanya, that inside the atmos, that's inside that saying, that's the me. And when we realize that atmos normally is says that in the sushupti state, that deep sleep state, okay, normally everyone recognizes that. So normally we have Śāstra talk about four states. It's a Jagrat, Sapna, Sushupti, Turiya. Jagrat is waking state, when everybody is awake and conscious of the external world, perceiving, interacting, and all those things. So that's the Jagrat state, waking state. Sapna is dreaming state, when in the state where we are, our senses are asleep, but mind is still working. So we are dreaming something. Okay, we may be no limits. Okay, whatever that has gone through the mind previously, again, there are different thoughts on that, whether one sees the dreams that comes only in this life or the previous life as well. Some say it is from previous lives and as well, some say from this life, but whatever it is, so those thoughts, the mind keeps working in that time, right? And then even though all the sense organs are inactive, then there is deep sleep state, sushupti, where everything, the state where there is no awareness of either the internal or external world. It is pure state. It is unmanifest consciousness. Okay, so at that state, for example, where we say morning we wake up and say, I don't remember anything, had a very good sleep. Okay, but we know that we have very good sleep. Who is saying that there is very good sleep? That very good sleep, I had a very good sleep. That state, that's is realization, is internally saying that there is something that's saying that I had a good sleep. Okay, so that sushupti state is where, so normally what a realized person, an atmajnani, what he does is he has that kind of thoughtful process, internally thinking, and nothing else on the external world, even when he is in the waking state. When he is in the Jagrat situation state, so the waking state, even when he looking at the perceiving the external world, and which is what we looked at in the later stages of when we're looking at the sthita prajna's characteristics, attributes, that's what it said. Even when he's exposed to all these sensual objects, okay, that's in this world, his mind is not distracted by them. Just like, I think the example we got in the 70th shloka, 16 and 70th shloka, is when all the rivers flooding into the ocean remains steady. Just like that, even if he sees all these things, he remains constant and he remains inward in that Paramatma. So again, it is very difficult because we see this, we do not realize that Atma because of the avidya, this that's there in us, that's covering the Atma inside us, and it's preventing us from seeing this, and which is creating, again, we when talk about Atma and Jivatma. So Jivatma is the one that is covered by this avidya. Okay, so that's why we don't realize that. Otherwise, once one realizes that Jivatma is the Paramatma, it is the same. Jivatma, Paramatma both are same. This avidya has disappeared. So because of those avidya, which creates these conditions or illusions, it makes us feel like this body or world, etc., is real, and what is real, it hides that. So, just like, for example, if you take a real world example, for example, look at that. If we have space, okay, so there is entire space. Let's say there is a playground. Entire space is there. Okay, beautiful park or playground, whatever. There is a space, and in that space, so we see that as entire one thing. But let's say go and build some rooms in that. Okay, so some structure and rooms. Now the space inside the room is different to the outside. That's how we see it, right? Even in our house, the space inside the room is different to the space we see outside, even though it is all same space. Because of the conditions of these walls and structure that has been built, it looks different. Similarly, the Atma Vastu is same everywhere, but we see it different because of the conditions we see in the real world. We see this external world as real, and that's how it is. That's why we see like that. So Bhagavan explains that Atma Vastu, what is the characters, what is it? So he explains again, saying that it is immutable, it is never get destroyed, it is no birth, and things like that he explains, and we looked at all those things. So then Bhagavan explains from 31st sloka to 37th, he explains the importance of Swadharma, right? So why Arjuna should perform his Kshatriya as a duty as a Kshatriya. Again, this is important. Why Swadharma is important is, if for those who have not realized the path to the purification of mind, which then leads into this jnana and everything, there are three paths: karma, bhakti, jnana. Three paths to moksha. So karma and bhakti, which lead to purification of mind, and then jnana arises, and then from jnana the realization, right? But direct to jnana is not recommended and not possible. That's why Bhagavan says in the 47th sloka, karmane vadikaraste mapalesh kadachana. And Sri Shankaracharya in Bhashya, he clearly says that it is not jnana. Okay, so your path is to karma and not jnana. So that's why one has to go through these karmas. So Swadharma means one's own duties, rights and duties one should performing. So if we say, simple analogy, if we say moksha is 10 steps higher, okay, and we have to climb step by step, first step is getting this human birth, okay. So once we get the human birth, then only we can start that process. Then performing the karmas, especially the ones assigned to one's own varna ashrama. So varna is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Ashrama is the Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa, these four ashramas. So where one belongs, the rights and duties and the conducts and everything that's allocated for that varna ashrama, that's the Swadharma one should follow. And then when one follows that, then that karma sannyasa, then giving up the desires of that karma, results are given up, and then the karma itself gives chitta shuddhi happens, the purification of mind, and then steadiness in that, steadfastness in that, adherence in that results in the realization. So that's why Swadharma is important. And then Bhagavan explains that karma yoga, right? So from 38 onwards, he explains the karma yoga, how that karma should be performed without any desires, without any attachment and desires for outcome of that. He explains that karma yoga and the merits of it. And then he, responding to Arjuna, he gives a view of how that sthita prajna, how that jnani is going to look. So that's what we looked at previously. So now this Sankhya Yoga, second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, second adhyaya, it is also known as beeja-adhyaya. Okay, so the beeja-adhyaya means it is the seed. Beeja is seed. So this is known as seed. Seed means seed. The reason it is called seed because it contains everything, every characteristics of what it's going to grow. Okay, it may be a huge banyan tree, but once upon a time it was a small tiny seed, and that seed had all the attributes for this huge tree what it's going to form in future, right? Just like that. So here in this adhyaya, in this chapter, is explained the entire Gita. The remaining 18th chapter is explained in the next 15 chapters. In the next 15 chapters, it is explained. So first chapter is obviously Arjuna Vishada Yoga. We looked at. The second chapter is Sankhya Yoga, and the next 15 chapters expand the concept that's already told in the Sankhya Yoga. And then the 18th chapter is Upasamhara, summary, concluding of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so that's how this, if one understands the Sankhya Yoga, it becomes easier to understand the remaining chapters. If one struggle to understand the Sankhya Yoga, one can understand by listening to the next set of chapters. So that's why it is important. The Sankhya Yoga is very important. Now, again, if you look at the entire meaning of Bhagavad Gita, which again we looked at the very beginning of Arjuna Vishada Yoga in the previous chapter, when we started this Bhagavad Gita thing. So at that time we looked at again the Saramsha, the summary of Bhagavad Gita, what is said is already said in the second chapter. So again, if we look at the steadfastness in selfless work, the Nishkama Karma, first that comes. And from that follows the purification of mind, Chitta Shuddhi. And from there comes renunciation of all the actions, Karma Sannyasa, which is led by Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, Titiksha, and so on. And then comes steadfastness in devotion to Ishvara, Bhagavan, together with vichara or thoughts and listening and following and things of the Upanishad sentences, the Vedanta. And then comes steadfastness in the knowledge of the reality, that is Atma Jnana Nishta state, and then that's the result of the Jivan Mukti. So that is the moksha. So that moksha state, that ends the avidya. Because avidya has all these three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas in it. So it ends all that gunas, and till the person dies, physical dies, that is the prarabdha karma he continues to experience, but that person at that time remains in that Jivan Mukti state, in that moksha state, while living itself, and finally at some point he attains the Videha Mukti. So that means freedom from this body. So again, I said Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, Titiksha. So Shama is, if you look, is controlling of the mind. So from wandering and other things, but focusing on the self-purpose. Dhamma is controlling of the senses, again, restraining from external objects and directing towards inner awareness. Uparati is again self-withdrawal or detachment from the worldly objects. Titiksha is forbearance, endurance, and tolerating the pleasure, pain, and equanimity with all the things that's happening and things like that. So all these things, those will lead to renunciation of all the actions. Okay. So now, if you look at how this second chapter, this Sankhya Yoga, relates to the remaining 18 chapters. So the steadfastness in the Nishkama Karma, without any desires performing the karmas, that's said here in the 48th shloka. If you look at the Bhagavad Gita second chapter, 48th shloka, Yogastha Guru Karmani Sangam Takta Dhananjaya Siddha Siddhyo Same Bhutva Samattam Yoga Muchyate. So that part is elaborated in the third and fourth chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Karma Yoga and Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga specifically covers that karma, Nishkama Karma, and it is explained in that chapters. And then if you look at the shloka, 71st shloka, where Bhagavan says, Vihaya kamanya sarvan pumam charati vinisprudha nirmamo nirahankara sa shanti madhigacchati. So that man attains peace who, after rejecting all the enjoyable things and things like that, so he explains that renunciation of all the actions who of a man of a pure mind, which is said there, is explained in the fifth and sixth chapter, Karma Sannyasa Yoga and Dhyana Yogas. So it is explained in the fifth and sixth chapters. Karma Sannyasa is explained, okay, renunciation of all the actions. And with that, the first sixth chapter explains the though part of though or that, Tattvamasi Vakya. So in Tattvamasi, I think beginning of Bhagavad Gita said Tattvamasi sentence, I think using Sri Bhavsuna Saraswati's Bhashya, we said that Bhagavad Gita 666 chapters divided into three buckets. Tat, Tvam, Tattvamasi. So Tat, Tvam, Asi. So these three things are linked to the 6 chapter. So here first 6 chapter defines Tvam, okay, you. Okay, so Tattvamasi is you are that. That is that Atma, Paramatma. Okay, so you are that Paramatma. So it is explaining, first 6 chapters explains about you. Okay, so then we continue. So again, just a little bit explaining. So Tattvamasi is a Upanishad Mahavakya. Okay, so there are 4 main Mahavakyas that's taken. One is Prajnanam Brahma from Rigveda, Aitareya Upanishad, and then Aham Brahmasmi from Yajurveda, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and Tattvamasi, which is from Chandogya and Samveda Upanishad, and then Ayam Atma Brahma, which is from Mandukya Upanishad in Atharvana Veda. So again, if you look at Sri Shankara Acharya's Parampara, so there are 4 Anmaya Pitas, Matas that's established in 4 directions of Bharat. So in Purva, in eastern direction, there is Puri, which has the Mahavakya Prajnanam Brahma as the main thing, and then Aham Brahmasmi, Sringeri's on the Dakshina side, in the southern side, because again, from Brahma's southern face, Yajurveda recited. So Sringeri's main is Yajurveda focused. So Sringeri, that's there. And then Tattvamasi is Dwaraka Pita's main Vakya, and then similarly Mahavakya, and then similarly Badri Jyotish Pita is Ayam Atma Brahma. So again, if you look at these Mahavakyas, they go in from one to another. They have link to another as well. Tattvamasi is kind of a Upadeshatmika Mahavakya, it is called, because it is somebody telling, a guru is giving a Upadesha to a Shishya. So you are Brahma. So he is telling, guru is telling, don't look anywhere, you are that Brahma. Okay, you are that Brahman. So that's the Upadeshatmika. Then that leads to Shishya then thinking, what is that Brahma is? So that is Prajnanam Brahma. And then that's why it is called Swarupa Bodhaka Vakya. And then the Shishya realizes and he repeats and he continuously thinks about this. He does the Anusandhana, and that's as Ayam Atma Brahma. So that is, this Atma is same as my Swarupa. He starts thinking like that. And then finally, he realizes that I am the Brahma. Aham Brahmasmi. Okay. So this is the 4th way you look at it. So from Tattvamasi to Prajnanam Brahma, Ayam Atma Brahma to Aham Brahmasmi. So that's the 4 Mahavakyas. So I just related to Tattvamasi I just mentioned. And then if you look at it from coming back to the topic we were discussing, so if you look at the 61st shloka, Tani Sarvani Samyamya Yukta Asita Matpara Vajehi Yasendriyani Tasya Prajna Pratishtita. So here, the devotion, the steadfastness in devotion to Bhagavan is said in this shloka, and that's expanded in the next 6th chapter, that is from 7th to 12th chapters of Bhagavad Gita. That's explained. So Jnana Vijnana Yoga, Akshara Brahma Yoga, Rajavidya Rajaguhya Yoga, Vibhuti Yoga, Vishwaswarupa Darshana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. So these 6 chapters covers that devotion to Bhagavan part. So again, this explains the Tat part of Tattvamasi, that part. So that is explaining the Paramatma Swarupa. So it is explains, these 6 chapters explains that in that Tattvamasi. And the last 6 chapter explain the Asi part. That means linking Tat and Tvam. So that and you and that, linking that, that's done in the last 6 chapter. So that's why Madhusudan Saraswati in his Bhashya explains that Tattvamasi is said in 666 chapters of 3 buckets. So that it's linked like that. So we looked at, so chapters 7 to 12 talk about Tat part of Tattvamasi, giving that devotion part, Bhagavan's explaining that steadfastness, devotion in Bhagavan. And then the shloka, if you look at 21st shloka, Veda vinashanam nityam yenam ajavavyam atham sa purusha partha kam gateti hantikam. So that shloka, he knows this one who is indestructible, eternal, and so on. So that's explained in the 13th chapter, Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga. Okay, where it makes distinction between Prakriti, which is the nature, and Purusha, which is the Atma. So that is described in 13th chapter. And then this fruit of this Atma Jnana Nishta, the steadfastness in knowledge, is the eradication of all the 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. He becomes beyond these 3 gunas, which is explained in the 45th, which is covered in the 45th shloka, first half of the 45th shloka in second in this Samkhya Yoga, Traiguna Vishaya Veda Nistraiguna Bhavarjana. That shloka, first half, is expanded in the 14th chapter, okay, Gunatrayu Bhaga Yoga. It explains that. And similarly, Yada te mohakalgam buddhirvati tarishyati tada gatamsi nirvedam shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. 52nd shloka in the Samkhya Yoga is expanded, where Bhagavan here we looked at, and it talks about you attained, you will acquire dispassion, and so on. He explains that. That's elaborated in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita called Purushottama Yoga. And then the 16th chapter explains about Daivasara is called Daivasara Sampad Vibhaga Yoga, where it explains a Daivi Sampat and Asuri Sampat. Daivi Sampat is the one which is good for this Vairagya, and Asuri Sampat is the one against. Again, if you look back Sankhya Yoga, there we looked at Dukkeshu Anudiggamanaha, Sukeshu Vigataspradha, Vitaragavaya Krodha, Siddhadhir Muniruchyate. 56th shloka explains about a monk or a muni whose mind is undisturbed in sorrows and happiness and things like that. That is the Daivi Sampat. And then on the other hand, Asuri Sampat, if you look at it, shlokas 42nd, 43rd, 44th, all these explains the Asuri Sampat, where Yamimam Pushpitam Vacham Pravadante Vipaschitha Veda Vadarata Bharta Nanedastiti Vadina Kamatmana Sargapara Sarga Janma Karma Palapradam. So there we looked at people performing all these karmas, expecting Janma Karma Palapradam, Bhogeshwara Gatim Prati, and so on. So right. So they all do perform this, expecting wealth, Aishwarya, and all these kind of things. Right, so prosperity and so on. So that's the Asuri Sampat. So that is explained in that 16th chapter. Then the 17th chapter, Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga, the faith or the Shraddha is born of Sattva, which is Daivi Sampat, is again said in the 45th shloka, second half, where Bhagavan asks Arjuna to Nirdvando Nistyasattva Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. Right, so that 45th shloka of this chapter, Sankhya Yoga, second half, is explained in the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga. So then this steadfastness in knowledge, together with these results, that has been explained. So what we looked at is from 13th to 17th, this knowledge, steadfastness, is with its results is expanded explained in those 5 chapters. And then the 18th chapter, which is the Moksha Sannyasa Yoga in this Bhagavad Gita, that is the Upasamhara. That's the conclusion. Okay, that's summarizing everything of all the things that's said in the entire Bhagavad Gita, and that's the Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, the final chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So like that, this Sankhya Yoga, what we looked at here, covers the entire Bhagavad Gita. Okay, it covers the entire concept in small summaries and summarized way it has here, and the rest of the Bhagavad Gita, remaining 15 chapters and the 18 chapters, summarizing, concluding all these things, expand this in more in detail, present this in more in detail. So that's the interconnection between the different topics in this Sankhya Yoga and the remaining 16 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. So we will look at how that starts out and how the next chapter, which is Karma Yoga, we'll look at Karma Yoga next time when we gather.